We'll take a short break here on The Point, and when we come back, China draws up new regulations on technology export controls. So will this affect TikTok's impending sale of its U.S. operations? We'll be right back. Welcome back. As Donald Trump's deadline for ByteDance's U.S. operations looms, on August 28th, China released a revised catalog of technologies that are subject to export bans or restrictions. Now, as a result, experts say ByteDance may have to suspend negotiations over the pending sale of its popular video sharing app TikTok. So what are the scenarios for ByteDance regarding its popular video app's future? Where is TikTok heading? Joining us from the United States again is Mr. James Early, CEO of Stansberry China, and also here in Beijing is Mr. Zhang Fan, Associate Professor at Beijing Normal University. Great to have you both with us. Let me start with Professor Zhang this time. China's Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of Science and Technology last week jointly released a revised catalog of technologies. Altogether, there are 53 changes to the catalog of technologies. The revised catalog now added 23 items subject to export restrictions, among which experts say 2 items may be relevant to ByteDance. So personalized information push service technology based on data analysis and artificial intelligence interactive interface technology. These are the 2. Now, China's Ministry of Commerce and Ministry of Science and Technology said the changes were meant to formalize the management of technology export and protect national security. And the list of technologies subject to export controls had not been changed since 2008. So, Professor, why now? I mean, some experts are saying that China was introducing them now, in part because of the current international situation, quote unquote. Do you agree with that, Professor Zhang Fan?
Well, as you said, there's a whole lot of changes made over 53 or over 24 changes. So there's a backlog of changes that needs to be made anyways, and I don't know why they update it so infrequently. They really should do it more frequently. But regardless, the particular timing of right in the middle of negotiations of the sale of the U.S. TikTok operations might be specifically chosen, but I don't know whether the particular items in the regulation pertaining to TikTok has already been in there, and the ministry is just pushing it out in time for it to become relevant, or it's specifically added for this particular situation. So I cannot speculate on that. I think there's coincidence in timing, at least.
All right, but Professor, how do you think ByteDance will be affected by the rule change? I mean, what will be the impact or the results of breaking this rule?
So this certainly throw a wrench in the negotiations. Well, breaking the rules is of course. I'm not a legal expert, but I think this is one of the administrative laws, meaning it's not from the legislature, but it's mandated by the legislature for the government department to draft up. So it's actually a law. So if you break it, you're breaking the law. It's not a suggestion. So in terms of the negotiations of the sales, I don't know whether this will break the deal altogether, because for a social media company, it's not just the technology, not just the AI algorithm. The fact that you have lots of users that you can, it's very difficult to migrate a whole lot of users and subscribers and content makers simultaneously to a new platform. But by buying TikTok, you get all those. So there's still value in TikTok, in buying TikTok for those suitors, even though the algorithm might not be fully transferred. And for technology, there's always other options. I mean, they can outsource the handling, set up ghost users outside, and mirror the U.S. users. Some other things they can do.
Mr. Early, how are you looking at this? Some say Chinese new rule puts TikTok's sale now at risk, making it harder for ByteDance to sell the app, while others are saying, well, the new rule will help protect ByteDance's core competitiveness. Is the new rule an obstacle or a way to buy ByteDance more time?
Well, I think we have to step back and look and almost laugh a little bit. I mean, this is an app that's best known for short videos of like dancing college-age girls, and it's become this, ping pong ball of national security between 2 big governments. It's a little bit funny how we got into the situation in the first place. I think China's move right now is a bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, I don't think they like the idea of Trump kind of muscling this deal to make it happen in the first place. But by doing this now, the Chinese government accidentally or inadvertently sends a message that maybe slightly contradicts TikTok's prior assertions of how independent they were. Because now suddenly, they're at the immediate behest of the government, or ByteDance is, and now this algorithm is not something that exists in the U.S. subsidiary. It's something that lives in China and needs to be exported. It needs permission to be exported. So this doesn't nullify entirely TikTok's claims of independence, but it certainly puts a question mark on that. But I think the government, to whatever extent they're aware of that, probably weighed that against the opposing argument, which is, hey, we don't want to look like the U.S. government is just determining this deal, is forcing this thing to happen and pushing a company around. So we're perhaps going to push a little bit too. I would not want to be ByteDance right now. I think this is a big stress. This risks killing the deal, as Professor Zhang said. I agree with him very much. And it's unclear if the motivation is this is sort of a leverage thing, or if it just means the deal dies, in which case the U.S. could shut down TikTok, and ByteDance may not have a buyer for it because it's blocked in India. It may get blocked in Australia also, and so they could potentially lose pretty big. I mean, one last point I'll make on this, ironically, if there's a good time to sell, it could be now. Not that I'm supporting a forced sale, but tech valuations are pretty darn high. There's no guarantee. Social media is very competitive. There's no guarantee that TikTok or any other app is going to be super popular 5 years from now anyway. So if you're going to have a forced sale, now may be the best time, ironically.
I mean, the company has already responded to the rule changes, saying that last Sunday it will strictly follow China's laws and regulation. And ByteDance General Counsel also said that we are studying the new regulations that were released Friday. As with any cross-border transaction, we will follow the applicable laws, which in this case include those of the U.S. and China. Now, experts suggest that ByteDance should carefully study this revised catalog seriously and carefully consider whether it is necessary to suspend substantive negotiations on relevant transactions. Mr. Early, you earlier were talking about the possibility of this deal go in vain. Is it still possible that ByteDance could seal the deal, that this process could take up to 30 days? Is it possible that a sale to the U.S. buyers will still be happening under such circumstances?
Absolutely. If you look at the stock prices of the affected public companies, Microsoft, Walmart, and Oracle, they haven't moved that much on the deal. And they were up before. I mean, the market was very positive about this deal happening. So the fact that they didn't move very much shows that the market still believes a deal is likely. And the way this regulation, I mean, the U.S. says the deal has to be done by September 15th. That's pretty soon. Whereas this Chinese policy says up to 30 days, but they absolutely could approve it very quickly. It may end up being a no big deal event. It may be a non-event, or it may block the whole deal. We just don't have that kind of visibility at this point, but it certainly could go through as planned.
And according to Reuters, ByteDance told TikTok engineers in a memo last week to draw up plans to shut down the app in the United States. Professor Zhang, ByteDance is also making separate plans for TikTok U.S. employees and vendors to be compensated in the event of a shutdown. What do you think about this? I mean, shutting down the app and selling it, which would bring more damage to ByteDance? Are any other options for now for ByteDance there?
Well, it's difficult to predict. However, the ban is for one country. If you shut down one country, TikTok is not going to go away. But on the other hand, if you actually sell your core algorithm, then there's going to be two versions of TikTok competing against each other. The other one just as good as you are. So that might, in the longer term, become a worse scenario for you. So I would actually really seriously consider selling the core algorithm. And also there are other options. I mean, there's some value in collaborating with some of the suitors like Walmart to actually gain involved in retail that way. So some sort of more amicable arrangements with the suitors without studying the core algorithm, perhaps as I suggested earlier, to be an outsourcing, stay out of the country, but service the customer indirectly through this intermediary U.S. companies might be a better option, but I don't know whether that's actually achievable at all.
There are several potential U.S. buyers, including Microsoft, Walmart, and tech firm Oracle. Mr. Early, how will they gain if they seal the deal, and how will Trump and the U.S. government gain from the forced transaction?
Well, there's a professor named Scott Galloway who said it very well on his blog. This is like two middle-aged men fighting over hair plugs, you know, and TikTok is the hair plug, trying to make them look younger, and he's not sure if they're really equipped to integrate this. On paper, it sounds not bad, right? They both have a lot of money, and that's a limiting factor. There are not many suitors out there with $30 billion or so to spare on this, but I think the idea would be Walmart has been desperate to get into e-commerce. Both of those companies hate Amazon. Amazon and Facebook probably couldn't buy TikTok for antitrust reasons, but Walmart and Microsoft are kind of like the impaired little brothers in this particular area, so they could do it. But it's kind of a big question, excuse me. Oracle as well. I mean, Oracle's more of a B2B server company. What are they going to do with it? I'm sure they would find something, but this is a quickly done deal. And to me, I think your question is apt, meaning it's not a slam dunk. It's not a given that just because these companies buy TikTok that they can actually do something with it and get enough value. And this is a very competitive industry, and the connection between eyeballs and e-commerce is still relatively unproven. So the tough work still lies ahead for whoever buys this company. It's
a super competitive market, and China's new rule, some say, is aiming at protecting homegrown technology, and some also say that governments may be engaging in a tit-for-tat dynamic. Professor John, what do you think? What are China's concerns here?
I don't think it's tit for tat. So the rule is not limiting technology export in the way that the U.S. is doing that. The U.S. is trying to cut off supply chain to sort of basically kill off Chinese companies, but China is not doing that thing, which I think is the right thing. You want to be a reliable supplier. Over time, I mean, people may say one thing or another, but when they put their own money down, they're very rational, and if you're reliable over the longer term, no matter what, then you're the winner over the longer term. So I don't think this is a tit for tat at all.
All right, we'll keep watching this, how this develops. Many thanks to Mr. James Early, CEO of Stansberry China, and also in Beijing, Professor Zhang Fan at Beijing Normal University. That's going to do it for this edition of The Point. As always, follow us on Facebook and Twitter using the handle Liuxin in Beijing. Download the CGTN app to watch our show, or go to YouTube and look for CGTN The Point. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.